we are back this morning. Got another row on there set. And I kind of got a better game plan of what we got going on. So Brand's getting the drain rolled out. And actually, I was a little off my math. I was going to go just a little bit overkill on this. You don't actually need this whole ditch full of clean rock. So yeah, I'm only going to have about half of this whole ditch full of clean rock, and the other half will be the native dirt that we took out of here, but we'll put it in like 4 or 5 inch lifts, run the plate compactor over it, and part of the clean doesn't really settle. You also don't want to run in about, you want to stay about 2.5 to 3 feet away from the wall with the plate compactor. So as long as we can get the dirt and that clean rock's never really going to settle, we'll do that. So yeah, that was my fault. I guess I misunderstood. I was basing it off a wall that I helped a friend of mine years ago that was like 15 feet tall, and they put like 10 feet of clean rock behind it. So I guess I was just using the old, well, if that worked for that one, let's do it for this one. So yeah, luckily I figured that out now, so I wasn't all captain overkill and just wasting a whole bunch of clean rock. So I can save the customer a little bit of money and maybe get a little further along today than what I planned. So all right, enough talking. Let's get these machines warmed up and get the backfilling. That side's narrow enough, we're just going to fill the whole ditch in with clean rock. So it'll eat up probably the rest of this pile. this lift is finally in, compacted, and we're doing our first set of geogrid on here. And we kind of overlap them 2 or 3 inches, and then the stuff's a little cold, so it wants to keep curling up, so Brant's starting to lay the block on it. And then we'll probably set a row or 2 of blocks, and then start dumping our clean rock and stuff like that and dirt back on there and compacting it and going back up. The idea of this stuff is it's just you know, basically like a grid, or I don't know how well you guys can even see that, or just these square holes, and then the rocks will kind of go down there through it. But basically you just set it on this row of block, and it just kind of helps pull into the side of the hill and hold the wall. And then we'll do, I think, 2 more rows, and then we'll run a couple of feet back in that shelf that I got cut out there, so it'll run even further back the taller that it gets. And then we'll do kind of the same thing. We'll fill this whole area up with rock, and then some of the dirt on that edge of it, and then another row of geogrid, and then more rock and dirt. It just kind of grafts everything together and then holds it back in that hillside and just keeps it from blowing out or shifting or anything like that. I'll keep getting these cut, and he'll get some more blocks on there, and we will carry on. Geogrid's in, the next 2 rows are put on, so we'll start the process over again of putting the clean rock and a little bit of dirt and packing it down. So we're hoping we can get this done, possibly another row of geogrid back in there for tonight before it gets dark. It's starting to take shape anyway, so let's get some more rock in. I'm gonna do my evening walk around now, because I wait till it gets too dark, and these GoPros are terrible when it gets much darker. But got how many rows did we do? You did 1 or 2 before I got here today, didn't you? We say we, I've pretty much been in the excavator. Brand stacked a lot of them, which is nice. So yeah, we got put 4 rows on today, got 5 total. Everything's backfilled. We got our first round of geogrid on. We're getting ready to sweep those blocks off, and hopefully before it gets too dark, try to get another row of geogrid and a row of blocks on there. But we are slowly getting there. That's the only thing about putting the dirt and the clean rock in part of it, is it takes longer to compact that dirt in there and lifts than just filling it full of clean rock. But it also saves on clean rock, so I don't know, it's kind of, we're trying to figure out if it's better for, it takes longer, but it's less rock there, material you got to pay for. So we're still debating that. But yeah, that is where we're at for this evening. Here is the progress we got done today. He decided he wanted to kind of run it on out to the curb. That's actually gonna be more for just kind of a border in the yard. I gotta leave a little bit of a gap around that pedestal, but then that'll have the caps on it. And I think we got one more row stacked on here. We used up all the clean rock, so then I wanted just to kind of get the site dressed up a little bit. They're bringing a couple more loads of clean tomorrow, but we gotta wait till we get it so we can finish backfilling. The top of this row will get another thing of geogrid, so we got to backfill and compact all the way up flush with here, and there'll actually be 2 more rows of blocks on this, so it'll be another 20 inches tall, and that should get us like at 6 or 6'2", I think. And then somewhere I got to start getting this backfilled where I can see where the grade goes down. Somewhere it'll step down to here, and so on and so on. And the same thing here. I think it's gonna be 2 more rows at least to that corner, so I'm hoping for it may step down on the last one before we get there. But yeah, made some headway. Here's how this is getting a little bit trickier. We had to kind of go in here and cut. Yeah, we cut that one because as we're going up, it's also going out, so that inside corner is actually getting wider. And we've ran some of these blocks, but you can't see, like this one we got a half cut here, and then we'll actually set another one in here when I get more of that clean in there to run that on by, so it's kind of meshed together and makes it a little bit stronger. And I had a bunch of questions about this corner, which it actually came up pretty nice. It was really a sharp 45 here, and I'll go up top where you can see. Now it's kind of making a curve. It's a pretty sharp curve, but we haven't had to cut or break any blocks or anything. We ran some on the backside inside there that you can't see, and that kind of helps support the weight of those, and stacked them. So one thing I hate about these blocks too is that they're just kind of nasty looking where they're broke, so then you can see all the clean rock behind there. So I'll kind of get up here and show you how this corners. It's not bad, like I said, it's kind of makes a little bit of a curve, but it's still a pretty sharp curve. So I would like to say and take the credit that I knew it was going to happen that way, but that was pure luck. So I couldn't do that again if I tried, so I don't know how it ended up, and it looks like it's going to be nice and strong. We don't have to cut anything, but you can kind of see, like I said, it's not a perfect 90, and these things have such a setback on them, but it's pretty sharp where you still kind of get the idea. And this is what, I don't know if I didn't really go over a lot of this. This is what we do with the geogrid. It actually runs back to the back of that dirt. I'll rake this out. We'll plate compact all this. The rock, I think we end up putting about 3 feet of clean. Some of that's kind of raked over on that, but then we'll just bring in lifts. I'll start getting the excavator up top, raking this down in about 6-inch lifts, and run that packer over it, and so on until we can get flush with those blocks. We'll flush that with the rock, and then have dirt, and then we'll run more geogrid back into the side of the hill and repeat the process. Then I had a couple questions on how these interlock, and actually what it is that this is that lip that I've been busting off, and it slides up and hits the back of the block below it, so that's where you get your setback or whatever. But then the idea of that, it won't let it go forward anymore, so it does kind of lock them into place. I had a few questions on if I need to I should fill these full of concrete or put rebar in them, and you do not do that with these. These are actually designed to let the water kind of run through them and wick out as well. I mean, I've also got the clean rock and the drain tile, but we get big rains. When you come and look this after it rains, you won't really see water running out, but the blocks will be wet probably for part of the day until they dry out. But that's the whole idea there. So if we went in there with rebar, and you could do the rebar, I guess, but that's now where the geogrid comes into play. The idea with that stuff is the rock and dirt kind of go through it, and it's made out of some type of fiber. You can't tear it, and you got to cut it with like either a razor blade or scissors. So And once it's in there and that's compacted and that dirt falls through there, you almost can't pull that over. So that's kind of the idea of like dead man or rebar or anything like that. Plus you can actually see how much this wall, like I said, this stuff's probably 3/4 to 1 inch of a setback. So, you know, the bottom rows actually started down here. If it was straight up and down, it would be up there. So that helps as well. What else? Oh, and then the footing of it. Yeah, I mean, you can see this is what it is. This is the fines, what a lot of people are talking about. You can do like 1 inch of that, which actually for the most part, when you saw me laying the blocks and walking over to the pile and shoveling, that's what I was doing, was getting a little bit of that lime sand. It's got a few of the bigger rocks in it, but the majority of the top of the footing was just working in stuff like this right here. So I've done it with the screenings. Like I said, I was going to do it this time. I just a lack of planning on my part. Hopefully that answered some of your guys' questions, and we'll pick it back up tomorrow and see if we can get this thing a little closer to being done.